Okay.
About the skull and bones and how they're.
Well, Blue Lou 777, it looks like you're the only one in here so far. Pete's just now signing off, so hopefully we'll get some more people in here in just a minute. So until we do get some more people in here, there's really no sense us getting into a whole lot of deep stuff. Maybe some people will catch it on the replay, and we'll see what happens then. Pete the Patriot has just signed off, so I imagine it'll take a minute for some people to hop over here. That is if they're going to. We've got 5 in here. My chat's so slow. Philip Turner, hey DM, Blue Lou 777. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming over from Pete's. Of course, Pete had a great show, and I have to agree with everything he said on Bernie Sanders. That's really some sick stuff. We've got 9 people in here now, so it's looking even better. I'll go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody for coming. And on the replay, if you see this and you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, leave me a comment, get locked into my channel. My PayPal information will be somewhere in the link below if you want to contribute. But as everything is going right now, we are working on a couple of things on this channel. I've changed my logo, and I've also changed my platform for Wednesday night. So on Wednesday nights, and I'm going to start doing Bible stories, but I'm going to do the Bible stories as a story without scripture. I'm going to tell you the story as if it was nothing but a story and let you get out of it what you can. Then Friday nights, of course, I'll be live, and then again Sunday morning with a Bible study. But today, I want to thank everybody for being here, and I want to thank my guest, Fight and Defend, for coming in today. He's a great researcher. He dives deep, and he's got a lot of good information. And so we'll both try to keep track of the chat a little bit better today than usual, and we'll just see how it goes. So Fight and Defend, welcome. Thank you for being here, brother.
How's things? Hello, Patriots. We got some goodies to talk about today. Surprisingly enough, these Democrats don't give us any rest, I'll tell you. So, what do you want? We can
bring up that Massachusetts deal. Go ahead and hit that.
All right, we can start with that. Once again, hang on. We got tons of windows open. In Cambridge, Massachusetts, city councilors in Cambridge voted to prohibit police officers for arresting illegal aliens if they are caught operating a motor vehicle without a license. Now, you and I still have to have a license, but if you're an illegal, you don't. And it basically comes back to they're using the excuse because of increased immigration enforcement coming from the White House. So be grateful you don't live in Cambridge.
So this is in retaliation to what is coming out of the White House on immigration.
Yep.
So they're being like California. They're saying, well, I'm going to thumb my nose at Donald Trump. How can we do this? Okay, let's let illegal aliens no longer be arrested for driving without a license. And you know as well as I do, if you're driving without a license, you're probably driving without insurance.
Yep.
It may even be a stolen car. They go let them go for that too. Once they will arrest them for that, but then they'll have to turn them loose.
It's crazy. It really is. I tell you what, if I lived in Cambridge, I'd be getting busted because I'd be raising all hell at the DMV there. You know, which it's a joke. It really is. So, and that was voted through on February 10th.
But to see that right there, John, shows you just how demented and evil these demon rats are.
Oh yeah,
that are in these places of power. They're mad at the president, so they pass laws that are totally anti-American, anti-citizen, and anti-constitution.
Yeah,
I mean, they need to make an amendment you know, if they have to. But yeah, this
Well,
is stupid.
They even admitted it's to keep the immigrants out of the clutches of the Trump administration.
In other words, out of the hands of ICE.
Yep.
Man, oh man.
Yep. Beautiful thing, ain't it?
Well,
crazier every day.
Yeah, it only gets crazier coming out of Massachusetts and New York and
California Critic. That's a city ordinance.
it is a city ordinance.
Yeah.
For New York City. I mean, for
Cambridge, Mass.
Cambridge, Mass.
Just Cambridge.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, well, they're going to pick it up. The whole
So
state's going to
basically,
pick it up.
what will happen is if a cop arrests an illegal for driving without a license, he'll probably buy a day off suspended. You know, the guy, I've been there. I've been there. If you don't play nicey nice with the politicians, you get spanked.
Yeah, Tam J says that they're trying to cause chaos in every way, and then they plan to bring the UN, bring in the UN to neutralize the chaos. And Tam, I'll tell you, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time, Tam J. But yeah, that's this kind of scenario that would not surprise me one bit. We're already getting. She brought this up, John, so I got to put it out there.
Absolutely.
They're already preparing. The UN is already has a foothold in America. They have a foothold in your state, probably.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are operating these Walmart centers. I think it was 164 of them nationwide that closed down in a couple of month period of time, all due to plumbing problems. And they never reopened, but they all have concertina wire around them and 8-foot chain link fencing. So, you know, I mean, and then you see the railroad crossing the other day, I counted 40 cars, and each car had 3 UN vehicles on it with the UN logos on it. Now, where were those 40 cars of vehicles? I added it up to be about 100.
Yeah.
Something like that. So where were they going? Why is it just down the road in Atlanta, just the other side of Atlanta? We have a field that has over 2 million plastic coffin cases. Why do we, in their own FEMA territory, why do we need these?
Yeah.
Why does FEMA have so many coffin cases? It doesn't make sense.
Well, you know, I agree with Tam J wholeheartedly. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, I've been out of law enforcement now for probably about 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And there was talk back then when I was in, what their goal is they want to get things so out of hand that local and state police can't handle it anymore. And then they'll bring in a federal law enforcement. And under federal law enforcement, we will fall under UN regulations, which means that our government will no longer have say over our guns. It will fall under the UN. They will automatically force us to give up our guns. Otherwise, we get locked down. And under the Patriot Act, we can be held forever and not even see a court date.
Boy, that's a scenario I've never heard.
Think of that.
Makes a lot of sense.
And like I said, I've been out there over 15 years. There was scuttlebutt about that back when I was on. And now, I mean, I could see it coming. We had talked about it. And they said that their goal is to have a federal police force. No more local municipality, state police, all federal.
Wow.
And what's Trump doing right now with the illegals? He's putting together basically a federal police force. It's almost like a SWAT team to go out after these illegals.
Right.
And he's going to take down the drug dealers, the cartels and stuff in the United States. So watch and see what happens. I would not be the least bit surprised. And I'm glad she brought that up.
Yeah, that's craziness. Because, I mean, personally, I think it was bad enough when Obama signed over most of our national parks to the UN. So that's, it's crazy. I've been seeing the signs, honest to God, since I was a child. I've been seeing signs in yards saying, get out of the UN now. So I know for at least 55 years, I've seen those signs and we're still there.
Yeah.
We're still in the UN. We need to get out.
And why?
Yeah. Why are we there?
Ask yourself, why the hell are we still there? So, yeah, wow. I would not be the least bit surprised. I mean, that's actually how I'm looking at things going down. Whether or not it happens, who knows? It's just, this talk has been going on for so long, and we're getting closer and closer, with the whole, gun control and everything going on with Virginia and Texas. And I mean, it's all over. It really is all over the place.
Since you brought it up, you brought up Virginia. And you and I talked about this earlier about the local sheriffs there. These local sheriffs, they went in, I'm going to call them Second Amendment cops, because they went into the House or wherever it was they had to go to get to apply for a raise, and they wanted a 3% raise. But the county deputies are being used as pawns, and they're told, no, you're not going to get a raise because of your stance on the Second Amendment.
Yep.
Because you stand on the Second Amendment, you're not going to get a raise, and your deputies aren't going to get a raise. The Amherst County Sheriff's name is E.W. Vare, and he said this about North Virginia, because that's up in North Virginia is where all these politicians live. And he told them, he says, 911 calls will get no response from rural deputies. Lawmakers don't need the deputies, so they can take care of themselves. So they're saying they're not going to respond to 911 calls from these legislatures.
Yep. It's once again, these idiots, they don't get it. Anything they put their hands on falls apart. You've got that Mark Levine, the delegate there, that the guy showed up at his house with a shotgun last weekend, crying the blues. He wants this guy arrested. The guy was in his right. He didn't break any rules. And now, and he said, if there's no law against that, I will make a law against that.
Okay, let me clarify one thing. This Mark Levine is not the Mark Levine from the radio show. This is one of those liberal demon rats. But tell me exactly what happened there. Tell them what actually happened.
And actually, the guy that showed up is a Republican, but he basically just showed up and stood in front of his house. And he had a shotgun and a sidearm. Levine panicked, called the police, or the sheriff. The sheriff showed up, said there's nothing they could do. He didn't break the law. Levine went back to work on Monday and spoke in the House, saying that the guy showed up with an assault weapon, with an extended clip, and I mean, just putting it on thick, blowing BS up everybody's backside, and looking for sympathy. And he is ticked because law enforcement won't do anything.
But now the guy had a shotgun.
Yep.
And then not an AR with an extended clip.
No, there was no extended clip. And this is the problem,
Yeah.
But so Levine is ticked off about it. So now he wants to push for a bill that standing in front of somebody's house with a shotgun or a gun on your hip is illegal and threatening, and you can go to jail for it.
Now, he probably wasn't even on his property.
He wasn't. But the thing is it's these same people.
Hey, Coco Loco.
It's these same people like Levine that just refused their cops a raise, and now he expects the cops to show up at his house the next time somebody's there. I hope 100 guys show up at his house next time. He calls the sheriffs and they laugh at him and hang the phone up. That'll teach you.
Yeah, exactly. But, you
can't have it both ways. I mean, personally, they pulled that crap with us. And let me tell you, I'll be the first one to admit there was a slow response time when they called crying they needed help. Yeah, we'll get there as quick as we can. We're a little tied up right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would stop at yellow lights just to make them suffer.
Well, I can understand that. Just to correlate just a little bit and maybe give somebody in the chat a laugh. When I was an Army medic stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, I worked in a troop medical clinic, and we held sick call. That was where everybody went who wanted to pretend to be sick, to get out of something, or maybe a few of you were actually really sick. Well, we had a syphilis epidemic come through, and it was like every day we were having several cases. And so the doctors got their head together and said, don't give any more shots to people if they don't tell you. So if they came in and didn't give us an idea, we found out that we couldn't refuse them the shots, but they had to get two at one time. And it was big. I'm talking big needles, big syringes straight out of the refrigerator. And we always warmed them up if you cooperated. But if you didn't cooperate, we'd just leave them cold. And instead of giving both shots at one time, me and a buddy, well, then we'd just give one shot at a time. And they're very painful. So either you get along with the program, you're going to get treated either way, but you're not going to get treated the way you want to be treated. If you don't, get with the program and let us know where this disease is coming from. And we found out by doing that, and we found out and it was coming out of the mess hall.
Really?
You believe that? Yeah, we had a syphilis epidemic coming out of the mess hall. A lot, and don't take this the wrong way, anybody. But a lot of black guys married Vietnamese women when they were in Vietnam. Well, a lot of white guys did too. But up on the hill there at Fort Riley, it was mainly we had mainly blacks with Vietnamese wives who worked in the mess hall as civilians.
Gotcha.
And they were pimping their wives out through the mess hall.
So,
But the moral of the story is if you don't play the game, then you don't get the results. That you want. And that's what those people are doing every time they condemn us or run us down as a people over our Second Amendment rights. They're going to find out, especially when they start holding money out of the mouths of the deputies' kids, for food and stuff. That's where it's wrong. They shouldn't be playing politics, with a man's pocketbook just because they believe something different.
Well, the good side, if there's a good side to this, unfortunately for the sheriffs, they're going to have to deal with it. But on a good note, it's just forcing the sheriffs on our side. Sure.
More and more every day.
Yep.
Yeah. If there's, and you can look at Virginia and you can see that. You can see where the law enforcement is standing with Americans.
Oh, Virginia,
but
Virginia's losing its mind.
Well, we're going to go to Virginia is going to be the boiling point.
Let me. You want to talk about that other issue in Virginia that I talked about?
That, or we can go into the COVID-19, whichever one.
Let me talk about this other Virginia thing real quick.
All right.
Hang on one sec. Let me pull it up. And for all you patriots, if any of y'all ride on Greyhound buses.
Oh, yeah.
Greyhound is declared sanctuary buses. They're no longer going to allow Border Patrol or ICE agents on the bus to throw off illegals. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. They're still going to have the locals come through with their dogs and try to sniff out, drugs and marijuana. But they're not going to profile anybody. Yeah, ICE and Border Patrol are not welcome. But yeah, they're still going to try to take your weed if you're trying to, ship weed in your luggage or whatever. But yeah, ICE and Border Patrol. So if you're an illegal immigrant, man, just get you a Greyhound bus ticket and you got a free ride.
I'm almost thinking about running across the border and coming back. All right. In Virginia, this is House Bill 257 that was just introduced.
Right.
What they are going to do, if this bill passes, it's going to end mandatory reporting of crimes as serious as sexual battery, stalking, and threats by students against school teachers and staff as part of the restorative justice. So basically what happens if you, as a student, you make a threat to another student or you threaten to demolish the school or what have you, you're no longer going to be charged if this bill passes. Also, if you get caught with less than a quarter ounce of weed, whether in the school or on a school bus or school property, you won't get in trouble. So if you look at this with the threatening, this is exactly what happened in the Parkland school shooting. That kid had threatened so many times and they never did anything about it, never followed up on it, and look what happened.
Virginia, well, it says here. Oh,
go ahead.
Well, it says here that the bill also eliminates any requirement that school principals report certain enumerated acts that may cause and constitute a misdemeanor offense to law enforcement. Saying you're not required to notify us if you have a problem at school. You're not required to notify us that somebody's broken the law within the school or on the school bus or on school grounds. So what they're saying is they're making the schools a sanctuary for a lot of things. I mean, it's saying that it eliminates the requirement for reports to be made to division superintendents, school principals, or incidents including assault and battery, without severe, I don't know where they get the term severe bodily injury at, of any person on a school bus, school property, or school sponsored activities. So,
and that also includes sexual assault.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was just fixing to say. And so it doesn't matter. That's what enumerated acts are, I guess.
Yeah.
That the principal doesn't have to report.
What scares me, Bobby, is Parkland, same exact situation.
Yep.
Sandy Hook, same exact situation. I will openly say
same thing all the way back to Columbine.
If anybody that's on here, if you got family in Virginia and stuff, this bill passes, keep an eye on those kids. They will tell them ahead of time that they're going to do a school drill. If the kids ever hear that, don't let your kids go to school the next day. Seriously, that's what they do, is they tip them off. The next day they have this drill, and all of a sudden they got a mass shooting. It happened at Sandy Hook. It happened in Parkland. Virginia is opening themselves up, and this is perfect. They've just lost on the assault weapons ban. So let's pull down a red flag so we can get our ban through.
What better way to do it?
That's what Malloy did in Connecticut.
Yeah. What better way? Every time they need a little extra oomph on the gun control issue, something happens.
Yep.
You
so
know?
For anybody that lives in Virginia, massive heads up. If you know people live in Virginia, get the word to them. They are going to keep this bill quiet. This is going to be one of those that they're going to slip in the middle of the night, and they're playing with our kids' lives, plain and simple. They're using the same handbook that they've been using all along. We're catching on now. Okay,
along with that, you mentioned this just briefly, but you know this thing doesn't end with that HB 257.
No, it doesn't.
House bill. It includes HB 695, and it's incorporated into the bill. And it says reports of certain acts to school authorities, exclusion, possession of certain amounts of weed, marijuana.
Yeah.
It excludes from incident report requirements, and they do not have to be made to the division superintendents, to the principals, and their designees. They designate these incidences involving possession as personal use, and they're not going to bother you.
Yeah.
So now they're writing a law that says it's okay for you to have weed at school, on the school bus, at school activities, as long as it's less than a quarter ounce.
Yeah. So you can smoke your weed, and then he can grope your daughter, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Man, don't move up there. Don't move to Virginia, Massachusetts, New York, nowhere up that way.
It's getting crazy.
So yeah, I got some good friends up there in Virginia and New York that I know here from you too. I said, I worry about them sometimes. I really do.
Oh, yeah. You know, and this is the thing. There's a lot going on in the news, but we really got to start watching all these House bills and Senate bills that are being passed in the dark of the night that we're not finding out about. And by the time we do, it's going to be too late.
It's too late.
Yep.
But this Kentucky governor, it's not too late for him and his people. He signed a bill requiring schools to have at least one armed officer on campuses of every school in Kentucky. The bill will require local schools to abide by the new law. Governor Beshear is taking steps to protect our children, and it requires well-armed officers and well-trained officers in an active shooter scenario. We must stop the worst of the worst from harming our children at schools and everywhere else. The entire nation should follow Kentucky's lead in this firearm life-saving law that they've put out there by that governor. I commend him for that. Yeah, and that officer, well-armed and well-trained, Let him carry his 40 caliber or his 9 or 45, whatever he wants on his side. But let him have a fully automatic AR or an M16, you might as well say, hanging on his shoulder. You know, give him the firepower that he might need, you know, to take somebody out. Don't put him up there one-on-one. Give him the best you got.
And you know, the thing is these sheriffs that are doing that, we got to let them know that we are behind them, because right now they feel like they're in between a rock and a hard place. They feel that the people don't like them and the politicians are screwing them.
Yep. So
we got to let them know, you know, whether you like cops or not. I mean, there's a lot of bad cops out there. I know. I worked with them. I've seen these guys. There's some scumbags out there. They're plain and simple. But, you know, these guys are putting their necks on the line. I mean, some of these sheriffs are looking at prison time and losing their careers if they do this. You know, let them know that we're behind them. And if you know, SHTF goes down, that we'll stand side by side with them.
Yep, exactly. And I will. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've heard people say, "Oh, I wouldn't call the cops unless I just positively had to." And I said, "Well, what is a positively have to case? Does murder qualify?" Not if I could hide it. What kind of talk is that? You know, and that comes from people I thought were my friends, but no, you know, the cops are there, and without our support, they can't do their job.
Yeah.
I mean, you may get ticked off at them. You may have this one that just loves to write tickets. You know, you may have some that are total buttholes.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, overall, I think each and every one of us that are true American patriots, that if we support our police, we support, you know, honesty and honor and the rule of law.
Yeah.
Something that the Democrats doesn't seem to understand, the rule of law. And that's why they're doing what they're doing in Massachusetts. But see, it doesn't take the rule of law for them to do what they're doing in China and in 24 other countries around the world with this coronavirus still.
Yes.
Let's jump over there for a minute. I'm going to give the new numbers.
And in the United States. Go ahead, Bobby.
As of this morning, there were 79,731 cases. It's risen since then. And 2,627 dead as of this morning. Of course, those numbers have risen as well. We'll never get the exact numbers, John. We'll never get the exact numbers because they're lying to us. Every country's lying to us, especially China. Yep. And we'll never know the real numbers. I say that they're 100-fold from what they say they are. Go right ahead.
You've seen that they brought in those portable incinerators.
Yeah, I saw that.
China, the 40, and they said it's going to be used for medical equipment. What they forgot to tell you, or they accidentally.
Did he freeze? I think he did. And I have no idea what he was going to tell you. He'll pop back in a second. But you know, we got this stuff popping up all over the world now. And the part that kills me is, hello? Somebody walking through, talking on their phone. But you know, the thing about it is that they're just in South Korea alone. There's been over 833 cases there with 8 deaths. My question is, what about North Korea? I mean, North Korea is right next door, and you're going to tell me they're going to have all these cases of 833 cases, and North Korea right next door has absolutely none. See, we're not getting the true reports. We haven't gotten true reports since the very beginning. Hello, Sam. How are you doing? Disabled Vets Perspective, Philip Turner. The CCLC in Florida says we are facing a crisis in America. Is doing the same thing. Yeah, same thing China did to their citizens. And not only there, in Italy, CLC in Italy, they're claiming 219 cases this morning, with 5 dead from the COVID-19, as I call it, outbreak. and over 5,000 people in 10 towns are now in lockdown. 50,000 people are now in lockdown across Italy. They're telling people that all gathering places, public events, schools, nurseries, museums, and public offices are suspended until further notice by the Italian government. So, see, they're not telling us the truth. Why would they lock down 50 million people in Italy if they only have 200 and something cases and it should be contained? You know, 2 more doctors died from this COVID-19 who were working on this in the very beginning to help bring this all out. And of course, there'll be no memorial for them. And look at Iran. They claim to have 47 cases, but 12 deaths. Now, wait a minute. They have 47 cases and 12 deaths. And meanwhile, Kuwait and Bahrain now have cases of the coronavirus as well. But what kills me is now Iran has 12 deaths, but only 47 cases. It doesn't make any sense to me. That sounds like world. And I don't know what that was, but I just blacked out for a minute. Well, he's not back. I'm sorry. Creepy Uncle Joe Biden's going to have to come up next, I guess. Fight and defend. Something happened to his connection, and he hasn't come back. So I want to talk a little bit about the stuff I like to talk about when I'm talking about myself, because I can get away with it until after I get done. So, but I want to talk a little bit about our friend, creepy, progressive, Satanist, pedophile Uncle Joe Biden. You know, he's still lying, but this time he's lying about getting arrested in South Africa with former Ambassador Andrew Young back in the 70s. Well, most of you won't remember Andrew Young. He was here a long time ago. He was ambassador to the UN, and he was also mayor of Atlanta, and I think he was even governor at one point. But not surprisingly, Andrew Young said that neither he nor Biden were ever arrested while trying to see Mandela while he was in prison in South Africa. Biden told this lie twice on the campaign trail, and he tells this lie again because Joseph Mandela was a black man. If you don't know who Joseph Mandela was, he was a black Southern African black man activist who rose from the ranks of a prison cell to be in charge of the whole country. So Biden was, he's pandering for the black vote. He's using Nelson Mandela to get there. And ladies and gentlemen, we have our brother John back. So we can get back on topic.
Apparently,
I was just trying to fill a little bit of time. I figured you'd be back when you could.
I must have said something that somebody didn't like. They bumped me. Both of my computers just shut right down and crashed. So,
well, get this. Right after you went off, about 2 minutes after, mine went black but came back on.
Yeah,
they must not like us very much.
Both of them shut right down. They both crashed.
Hey, that's fine. I know when I talk to a lot of patriots and the phone will just cut off.
All right. So
anyway, go ahead. Let's get back to it.
All right.
We're at the coronavirus.
Yeah. So anyways, 2 of the crematories in China have burned out. So that's something to think about. Now, Iran right now, Corona is running rampant in Iran right now.
Did you hear? I said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's saying, why in the United States is the number so low? Well, this is why. We have 47 cases, or 47 states that they tested. We have, how many confirmed here in the U.S.? Hang on one second. Because everything disappeared on me. Anyways, I don't know how many cases exactly that we have in the United States. But the reason why our number is so low is that they've only officially tested 600 people.
In the whole U.S.?
In the whole U.S. So,
okay.
The other issue that I have is I was watching the WHO, our
World Health Organization.
Yeah. and I can't think the guy's name there. I can't think of his name right now. He actually said that we were on the brink of solving this if only if we had the funding to do it. And because we didn't have the funding, it's going to run rampant.
Oh, so now it's all about the money.
Well, I told you the WHO is broke.
Yeah,
They're broke. You know, they squandered all the money that they have. So now they're going to hold it over our heads that if we don't start giving them more money, people are going to die.
Yeah, people are going to die. Is that a veiled threat saying, guess what? Hey, we are the World Health Organization. We do have this virus. So if you don't help us and give us some money to fight this, we're just going to help spread it. And I'm going to tell you, that's the UN we're talking about. And I don't trust the UN. Well, I say get out of the UN 50 years ago.
The World Health Organization is part of the UN. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. So whatever we give them, no, we shouldn't give them anything. We ought to use what we have. We have the CDC.
Yeah.
That's what we should rely on here in America and tell WHO to go WHO it somewhere else.
Yeah.
We don't need them here. The CDC is just fine.
Yeah, and even them you can't always trust.
No, of course not. But they're the best we've got as far as we know. Yeah.
Tam J was talking about, where'd she go? My computers are really screwed up.
Let's see if I can get her back.
The Dean Koontz book.
The Dean Koontz book, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
He sent me a link to that the other day. Somebody had done an article on that, correlating everything with the Dean Koontz book of 1981, I think it was. Yeah, but when I went and looked at it and I read it and I went back to check it again and it had been removed. It had been taken offline. So, see, they're censoring things that correlate between today and yesterday and this virus and everything that's happening, because Dean Koontz said this exact same thing was going to happen back in 81, I believe it was. Didn't he talk about that?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I mean, the ironic part of it is that the virus escaped from Wuhan, China.
Oh, wait. So what did it do? Did it get a file or something and file its way out of the box and then get the keys and unlock the door and
apparently
hop on somebody's back and ride out?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, that's what an escape sounds like to me. I don't think for a minute it escaped.
No.
It was released. I mean, I'd call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I think it was purposely released and it's doing just what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's infecting the people of the world. It's causing fear.
Yep. Hey, you were talking about the CDC. You know what the CDC's budget is for 2020?
Oh, no, I could only imagine.
$6.6 billion.
What, for 1 year?
For the fiscal year 2020.
Wow.
Right here, 6.6. It's $6,594,000,000.
Yeah, and okay, I guess they got a lot of animals to feed,
Sure.
And a lot of petri dishes to clean. But no, now I'm not going to say anything bad about the CDC except for they're a government agency and they can't be trusted. But they're like President Trump. They're the best we got. You know, sometimes you have to pick the better of two evils. And if it's between the World Health Organization and the CDC, I'm going to pick the CDC every time.
Yeah. Did you, when I was gone, did you mention to them about Trump being ticked off that he wasn't warned about?
No, because you were talking when you blacked out. And then I went, okay, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah.
And so I just jumped on a different topic. But no, go ahead and talk about that. I wanted to hear that.
Trump just recently found out about people being transported to the United States with the coronavirus, and he is flipping mad.
Because he told them not to do it.
Yeah. So anticipate on seeing more people get fired. He's not happy about it at all. They did it behind his back.
Am I right or wrong to say that there were 14 people flown from China, from Japan that were on that cruise ship there in Japan, and they flew with other passengers. Did you hear that? That they put them on an airplane with other passengers and flew them home from Japan?
I'm trying to remember. I've read so many. I remember that they had people, sick people with healthy people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, see, they're not trying that hard to keep this all down.
No.
They're wanting it to spread. And people, I'm going to say this one more time. And I know my brother Fight and Defend agrees with me. The numbers are skewed, and they're skewed from day one. If they say there's 1,000, you can pretty much guess there's 100,000.
Yep. You know, in the United States right now, California, Nebraska, and Illinois are the only states that can test for the coronavirus.
What?
Yep. So that leaves 47 states with nothing. Said 47 states have no test kits and apparently no ability to test anyone.
Oh, wait a minute. We got 47 continental United States. Now we got 48 continental United States.
No, we got 57 if you ask Obama.
Well, yeah, but we have 48 continental with Alaska and Hawaii being detached. So there's 47 states that
can't test.
Can't test.
Nebraska, California, and Illinois are the only ones that have the equipment to test.
Now that's news I hadn't heard. That's awesome news. Now okay, people, where do you live?
Yeah.
When the flu hits your neighborhood and you go to your local doctor or to the emergency room, guess what? They can't test you for the COVID-19 virus. They don't have any test kits. My goodness, what is going on here? People, they're calling this thing it's on the verge. They're not calling it a pandemic yet because they're not telling us the truth of the numbers. The truth is this has been a pandemic for weeks and it's getting out of hand. And 47 states have no test kits.
Yeah.
My God.
Also, for my locals here that live in Florida, CLC and Disabled Vet.
Oh, yeah.
Florida is not releasing any numbers on who's affected or infected with the coronavirus. They're going to try to file it under the HIPAA Act, which, all right, don't give us their names, but you can tell us how many people, and they're refusing. So that's something else to keep in mind for us here in Florida.
Yeah, and Kevin Moore said that they sent test kits, but the CDC sent test kits that wouldn't work, and then they sent more, and that didn't work either. So
they're faulty.
The CDC is guilty.
Yep. They're all, listen, I'm telling you.
See you later, California Critic. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by.
I really wholeheartedly stand behind the fact that the WHO and the CDC, they're all involved in this. These guys are all getting kickbacks. I mean, it's nuts. It really is.
Tam J said that the second day of the virus was announced. There was a brief article exchange about students from Wuhan flying to DC. They were tested, but the incubation, of course, is 10 to 14 days, and they were tested. They don't know somewhere, maybe before they would have shown positive. We're seeing that everywhere. People are testing negative, but they're actually positive, mainly because the test kits are no good.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff B., I know you said that 2 weeks ago, man. You're staying on top of things. Thanks for being here. TJ says, yes, Mary, people have been filming ambulances here, picking up people with hazmat suits on. TJ Antipas, where are you at exactly? I'd like to know that. Especially if you're somewhere in Asia, I'd really like to know that. I'd like to talk to you. I'd love to talk to somebody that's there with their feet on the ground.
Yeah, that's what we got to do is these countries that are getting slammed right now, we really need to stay in touch with these people.
Okay, TJ says they're in New Zealand. How's it going there, TJ? Is it how many outbreaks are y'all having, or are y'all pretty safe from it down there? Just leave it in the chat and we'll try to catch it. But continue on, my friend. I didn't mean to get you off topic.
That's okay. Yeah, just real quick. This is Florida. The state surgeon general said the Florida Department of Health is not authorized to publish the number of people in the state being tested for the virus out of privacy concerns.
Oh my goodness. So now they're worried about people saying, "Oh, look, he had the COVID virus. We got to stay away from him." They're
Yep.
not going to do that a year later. They're going to say, "Man, we're glad." Pat him on the back, give him a hug, and say, "Man, we're glad you survived that."
Yep.
No, they're trying to see more scare tactics. You know, they're being subtle with it, but the time's coming. I promise you.
But
Uh,
what's scary, Bobby, is the Department of Health has created a 700-person incident management team ready for a potential outbreak.
oh, so now it's gonna be like the movie Outbreak.
This is for yeah.
So they have teams to pick up UFOs and stuff like that, you know, quick response teams. And they have quick response teams, you know, for terrorists and all this stuff. So now we have a quick response team for the virus. Wonder how that's going to work. I mean, it didn't work in China.
It's unbelievable. It is really unbelievable.
Is that quick response team going to be doctors and scientists, or is it going to be men with weapons?
Yeah.
No, that's the question there.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, I don't trust anybody anymore when it comes to government. I mean, this COVID virus itself has opened eyes and doors for me to walk through that show plainly that we're being lied to by everybody.
Well, you know, you still got to ask yourself, why are all these Walmart FEMA camps still sitting idle?
Well, there's a use for them somewhere.
Exactly.
For somebody. Don't ask me who. Is this going to be quarantine camps? Are all of those plastic coffin cases down here in Fort Stewart, Georgia, are those for the bodies?
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't put them in a casket, you could get up to 10 bodies in one of those plastic cases.
I think they said you could fit six. Six average size Americans.
Yeah, into one plastic vault. Yeah. Has a plastic lid you put on it and you bury it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good way of doing a mass grave.
Yeah.
It takes a little longer, but it's at least the ground doesn't fall in underneath it and it become a depression after all. Yeah, everybody decays and everything.
We won't have sinkholes like we do.
Yeah, there you go. You won't have sinkholes full of bones.
Yeah.
And people, if you think that FEMA, the UN, the World Health Organization, the CDC, anybody in China, that's anybody, and anybody really that's in our government cannot be trusted with the coronavirus details, as well as they can't be trusted with anything else that we hold dear. So we're not getting the truth. And people like you, John, that dig deep and put me on the trail of some really good stuff as well. It's up to us to get the word out that these people are not getting the truth. Right.
And we got to do it. I mean, we got to get the people awake and let them know. You know, we need to start calling our congressmen and even if you don't live in the state, call them and give them hell. You know, we got to let these people know they work for us. We don't work for them. You know, I wasn't put on this earth to be somebody's guinea pig.
You know, I've called my congressman and I've written him letters and emails, and I get the exact same response every time. Congressman, I'm glad that you called. I will return your call, blah, 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 blah. Or thank you so much for wanting to show attention to my campaign. I didn't talk about your campaign. I wanted to talk to you, but you can't never get him. You know what I mean? And so it's getting very irritating because he's a nobody congressman. I mean, you've never heard his name. It's not like Doug Collins, you know, who's really busy.
Right.
But yeah, this guy's a nobody from North Georgia, and you just can't get in touch with him. So keep trying. Call the White House if you can't get through to your congressman. Talk to the switchboard. Leave a message.
Absolutely. Hey, Mary Willis wrote something about Tibet has a history of burning bodies in open pits. Mary, look up, and it's a reference to Tibet with the ice glaciers that are melting. They just found, I think it was 40 some odd unseen viruses are locked inside the these icebergs, and as they're melting, they expect the viruses to escape, and they don't know what they're going to do yet. There was an article about it. I read it a while back. I didn't get that far into it, but something for her to look at. She was talking about Tibet, and it was a Tibetan. I got the name somewhere, but I mean, it's there again.
Yeah, there again. You know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like the perfect sci-fi scenario. You know, the glaciers start to melt over a period of time, and then as years go by, viruses are released into the air, and then you have plagues and pandemics, and see. I'm going to tell you, I've said this since I was a little kid when I first started watching sci-fi, was that and I've learned it now over the years, that if you've ever seen it on a sci-fi movie, they either already have it, or they're close to having it. I mean, people don't come up with stuff. I mean, true, you know, teleportation. You saw that in Star Trek. Remember how that was? Like that was one of the first shows that showed teleportation like they did.
Right.
Everybody got into, you know, going to transporters and being beam me up, Scotty. Well, they're actually transporting, teletransporting articles now from one location to another. But right now they're still on the microbial level. They can't do anything bigger than a cell. So
they're way ahead of us.
Yeah. But see, that's what they're telling us. If they're telling us they can teleport a cell, they can probably teleport a human. They're just not going to tell us. They never will. They never have. We've been lied to since the very beginning. And I'm going to say that on every video. We have been lied to.
Laughing at us when they lie to us.
Yeah, a great informer. If I could get on Twitter, I could do a little bit more, but I'm banned from Twitter for life. And I got banned from Twitter for life before I ever started YouTube. So I'll have to live without it. And then again, I'm not on here to, I'd love to have a lot of subscribers. Don't get me wrong. It's not, I'd be a liar if I said I didn't, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is for people like myself and my friend Fight and Defend and California Critic and Tactical Tech and everybody else on here, getting the truth out, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how bad it feels. The truth needs to be told, just like Sam always tells. Sam always tells the truth, and you can always trust in what she says. So,
and I think
we're winding down. I'm going to give you the last few minutes or minute or however much you want there, John. And when you're done, I'll take us out.
Well, I think the closer we get to the elections, the more of us are going to be getting bounced off line. I really do. So we're preparing for that. I actually just opened a thing on D Live at some point. I'll work over there. I know this is
good. I need you to help me with that. I want to get D Live going as well.
I know this is going to break everybody's heart, but Michael Bloomberg's campaign office in Knoxville, Tennessee has been vandalized. And they are blaming it on Bernie Sanders, and they expect a apology from Bernie Sanders. They don't know who did it, but they're blaming Bernie. So I thought that was
all right. Now let's wait a minute. Let's talk about Bernie just for a quick minute before we go. You brought him up.
Yep.
All right. It was a Bernie supporter who shot Steve Scalise. Steve Scalise.
Yep.
Right. Shot him on the softball field.
Yep.
All right. Now, then a couple weeks ago, you had a Bernie field organizer saying that if Bernie didn't get the nomination on the first round of voting at the Democratic National Conference, that they were going to burn down the city and many others as well. He said they're not waiting for a second round to see if he gets it. If he doesn't get it the first time around, the violence begins. And I haven't heard Sanders yet say, tell him to retract those remarks or to disavow those remarks or anything else.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, these Sanders supporters, they're vile. They're evil. But they're not heroes. They're cowards.
Yeah.
But they're gonna do things. They're gonna cause trouble.
I've been saying it for a while now, and I'll say it again. If Bernie loses, his people are going to lose their freaking minds.
totally lose their mind.
I mean, look at now you got Bernie and Russia. You know, here comes Russia again. They're not talking about Russia with Trump. They're talking about Russia with Bernie. You know,
Yep.
I mean, personally, I would rather see Bernie there right now. Buttigieg is one we definitely got to get out of there. He is a scumbag. He has deep connections with the deep state. It goes.
He's worse than that, man. I mean, just don't get on the Buttigieg.
Oh yeah, he is bad. We need to get rid. Yeah, worse than Hillary's people. But yeah, if Bloomberg ain't got a chance, he's just playing the game. But yeah, if Bernie loses, we're going to see some crazy things, I think.
I think so too. Well, I'll tell you what, John, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you for coming. You want to do this again? Just let me know.
Absolutely.
I think Monday afternoons at 3:00 are free. So if you want to do this again, we will. Yeah. And everybody, I'll see y'all Wednesday night with my first Bible story time. I think you'll like it. I'm going to start in the first book of the New Testament. And we're just going to go through the New Testament like we do on Sunday, except we're not going to go through Scripture. We're just going to talk about the stories and historical stories and things like that. We're not going to go in deep diving into Scripture and interpreting Scripture and all that. We're just going to tell the story, and like you would a child. So I always like hearing stories myself. That's why I listen to History Beat. But I'm going to get out of here, John. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for being my guest. You were great, as always. My name's Deplorable Bobby. This is the way I see it. And I'll be back Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And we'll see you then. Thank you, John, for coming. Appreciate it, man.
Bye, everybody.
Man, that